makeup done, but okay.
Me too. I'm gonna go put lipstick on.
Ellen, you're looking really good. So, challah is the traditional food of Shabbat, right, of the Jewish people. And one of the major reasons why is because there's actually a law that is written in the Torah, and one of the 5 books of Moses is written about when a man or a woman makes a batch of challah using 5 pounds of flour, 2.5, either anywhere above 2.5 to 5 pounds. At 5 pounds of flour, she would separate 1 loaf of challah bread and bring it to the priest, bring it to the holy temple to for the priest to enjoy. Because as we know, the priests that were our connection to God during the times of the holy temples, both holy temples, when the Jews ran Israel, when we were in charge and God's presence was felt in the holy temple, the Kohanim, the tribe of Levi, did not have their own land. They weren't given that inheritance of land, but rather the inheritance of doing that job. And with the job of doing the service in the holy temple, they got all the challahs that were baked by the Jews. So that is why on a normal basis, I wouldn't make only 1 challah, or a challah made with 3.5 or 4 cups of flour. Normally, I would use an entire bag of challah, of flour. I apologize. Normally, I would use at least 5 pounds worth of flour. But, when you're doing something by hand, and for a larger group, it's much easier to teach it. It's much more manageable when you're only using 4 cups of flour. So I shared with Lisa the card, which would make about one of these loaf tins. If you would want to make more than one, you could let it rise a little bit longer. It'll be a little airier. Or you could make rolls. You can make smaller tins. You can make it a round tin. That's the beauty of challah. It could come in any shape or size. As long as it gets baked properly, it'll all be good. A little more sugar, a little less sugar, everyone according to their dietary needs, of course. In my family, my last name is Kamelhar. Like I said earlier, you're welcome to look me up on Facebook. Or Instagram, if you have Instagram. I don't do Twitter, and I don't do Snapchat, and I don't do TikTok. So if any of you do TikTok, it's not for me. You won't find me there, at least. So what we start with is I use only, Lisa, did you want to say something? I thought you picked up your hand. Okay. I use only high gluten flour because high gluten flour just causes the actual dough to be a little bit more elastic, a little bit more, it'll rise better. So I use high gluten flour. This company is my ultimate favorite, dependable. It comes in a brown paper bag, like a little old-fashioned way. It makes me think of my dad. That's a story for another time. This is the one I use. You're welcome to use anything that you want. If you, I'm sure, in Oceanside, I don't know what kosher grocery stores there are, but just a hop, skip, and a jump from Oceanside is the 5 towns where Barbara lives. I'm sure she could tell you about all the different kosher grocery stores, but those are the ones that will carry this type of flour. I know King Arthur makes bread flour. I personally have not used King Arthur, so I can't tell you, but this is what I use. Okay, I would imagine King Arthur is great. Now, one thing, way before the pandemic began, I had stock in disposable gloves because nothing happens in my house without a pair of gloves on. I wash my hands and then I glove up. I have no idea why. That's something that I've done since I started my own kitchen since I, moved into my own apartment, gloves were the things that I always needed. So when the pandemic began, yes, I did have a case of gloves in my house, but those were long gone. So I have here, this is 3 cups of flour, because I never start off with the full amount, especially when I'm making a smaller batch. I have 1 cup of flour on the side that I'll be able to add to it. I then have a little bit more than a half a cup of sugar, because my family likes it very sweet. So it's a little bit more than a half a cup of sugar. I will not pour the entire half a cup in immediately. I'm going to show you in a moment what I do. And then I have 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Now, the one rule of thumb, other than the high gluten flour, is that the salt and the yeast cannot mix. I don't know if any of you use yeast mixtures, but the yeast is very sensitive. Yeast grows in dark, warm places, but it doesn't grow when there's salt. So therefore, the salt and the yeast cannot mix. So what I do is, but what does make yeast grow is warm water and a little bit of sugar. So what I do is I pour most of my sugar into my flour mixture, into my plain flour. I leave a little sugar on the side. I pour my salt in as well. And then I just, if I wasn't wearing gloves, I would use a spoon, but since I'm wearing gloves, we're lucky. I just mix the flour, just sift it so that you can't see the sugar or the salt. I then prepare a well, so I just move the flour to the side. I leave a little flour at the bottom. I pour the rest of my sugar down into that flour. So now in my bowl, we have, it doesn't look like anyone's doing it, you're just watching me. So in my bowl, we have the 3 cups of flour, we have almost a half a cup of sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I mix that up. I moved the flour mixture to the side. I added some sugar, and now I'm going to add my yeast. I use this yeast, Red Star Active Dry Yeast. Now, it also comes in those packets, those 3 packets. So, I mean, again, this is pretty substantial of a size. I make challah a lot. In fact, today, a colleague of mine came over and picked up 20 challahs that I made. So, because we did a special event for this Shabbos, so we wanted to give 20 families one a challah from me. It's actually a very special recipe, so there you go. Okay, I then will add my yeast. My yeast is 1 tablespoon of active dry yeast, like I showed you this, and I pour it just on top of the sugar. Okay, so it's kind of like, I'm going to show you. Whoops. You see, it's kind of like in the center there. Does everyone see that? Yeah.
I have the camera off, and I am doing the recipe with you. How much?
Great.
So 1 tablespoon of yeast and a scant amount of the half cup of the sugar?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
now
sorry.
I am going to
the big packet of instant yeast.
I didn't hear what you said, Barbara. 1 second, I'm sorry. I turned on the water to get the warm water, but yes, one more time.
Instant yeast.
I'm using the quick rise instant yeast.
Oh, so a quick rise instant yeast would be fine. Yes. Yes.
So
the only thing that I don't use and I won't use, I'm sorry?
Is the 1 packet of the 3-pack 1 tablespoon?
I believe so. Like I said, I normally don't use that one, but I believe so. You can measure it out. I'm saying it's not,
It is.
Okay, I'm gonna go get my 1.5 cups of warm water, and I'll be right back. Now, I cheated a little. I used boiling water and then I added cold water because I didn't want to let it run. But so now I poured that water in and I'm just leaving it to bubble. I don't know if many of you have used yeast mixtures, but if you see it's already a little bit, you see it activating. Pamela, how are you doing over there?
Okay, 1.5 cups of water, right?
Yeah, I would do a little bit less than 1.5, but yes.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay,
Do I-
so as it's bubbling, I like to wait a few minutes and I prepare my egg like Bubby used to do it. My grandmother, her name was Rose Schulman. She lived in Irvington, New Jersey. And I used to love to go to bake with her. The treat was every Thanksgiving, we would go for Thanksgiving to my grandmother's house. We would take the trip and me and my brother got to stay for Shabbos, and I always would bake with my grandmother Friday morning. That was the treat that I was able to bake with her. So I have prepared my egg, and when I crack an egg, I think of her because she used to scrape out the whole thing. There was no egg left in that shell, right? So okay, I have my egg here. And I have prepared my oil, which is about 1/2 cup of oil.
Yep.
Here are my hands. Here I go. I'm going to just, I just do this. That's all I do.
Wait, so you're just putting in the egg and the oil now?
I didn't put in anything other than the water so far.
Oh,
I have prepared it on the side, and I am just. Here, 1 second. I did this.
Okay.
The other day I did the same.
Nechama, do I stir the yeast at all?
You don't stir the yeast. I don't stir the yeast. You're welcome to try that, but I don't.
No. Okay, I'm gonna
So
just.
as you see, it's a very liquidy situation going on here. But you can see that I haven't added all the flour, right? I'm not trying to drain out like in a second. I add the flour pretty slowly. Okay. And I'm gonna have to get a tripod. Now as I see it getting drier, I'll add the egg first. Just adding the egg. And I'm continuing. I don't get this hand dirty right away because I like to have access to other things. But basically you're working the dough. You're working the dough.
You don't beat the egg before you put it in?
Nope, I just throw it right in. Especially here, it's such a small amount. You have that ability to just you incorporate that egg easily.
So, Nechama, I have to. It's Pam again.
Yeah,
I have the yeast, sugar, and water in a separate bowl, right? You
right,
don't.
so I didn't do it in the separate bowl. I kept it in one bowl.
Okay,
But
so
that doesn't matter. You can now pour it into your flour.
Into the flour. Okay, thank you.
No problem. I used to do it in a separate bowl, and then I realized, why make so many bowls dirty?
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Now that my dough is a little bit sticky, I'm going to start to add a little. You see how sticky it is? I'm going to start to add a little bit of oil, just a little bit at a time. Now, I'm not sure if this is really a trick, but this is what I do. I never add oil to the flour. I only add the oil to the dough mixture. Somehow, when you add the oil to the flour, it kind of like clumps it up. And that's how you're going to get these, lumps, which we would never want a lumpy challah. So as you could see, I'm just moving it, working my hand around the dough. Now I am going to add a little more flour because I feel like it's a little wet. So, you know, the recipe had called for 4 cups of flour and I had only used 3 to start. So that's why I'm adding it. Now I'm just gonna keep on working the dough. And
start adding the oil.
that's it. What did you say, Pam?
Shall I start adding the oil?
Yes, you should.
And then
You're unable to see me. I mean, we can't
I
see
can
you.
see you. I'm just a little distance away from my iPad right now.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. We're so happy.
No, I'm very happy to be on.
Good. So iPhone 376-3944. What's your name? Oh, I'm sorry. I can't see you. I can't hear you.
That's
Ah.
Helen.
I'm Helen.
Hi, Helen. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
I think we met everyone. Estelle, we don't know who. We didn't get to meet Estelle yet either. Oh, and now there's a Julia that's on.
I spoke to you. I asked you about the eggs. If you
Oh,
beat
yes. Yes, Julia. So you're also making the dough now? Julia,
No.
you're just watching.
Right.
Excellent. Okay. How am I going to get to see the final product?
I'm going to turn my camera on in a minute.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, now typically what I would do is I would let my dough rest for a little bit. I would cover it and let it rise, but not to make you guys come back in an hour from now. We're gonna.
When do we add the oil in the egg?
Well, you put your liquid into your flour, right? And you started mixing, right?
I put
With your
in the
hand.
yeast, the water, and sugar into the flour.
Excellent. Now you're gonna start working the dough. And as you work the dough, you first add the egg, and then you slowly add the oil. As you can see, I didn't even use all my oil.
Okay.
I will use some of it to grease my countertop, and
Sure.
then I will braid the dough. How would you guys like to watch me braid my dough?
I would love it.
Okay.
Wait,
Pamela,
can I?
how are you doing there? I think we gotta wait for you because you're the one that's making the dough. You and me.
Okay, I just need a tiny bit more time.
Okay.
Can I ask you one question?
Of course you can.
If you were going to let the dough rise, how long would you do that for? How long would you let it rest?
So I am very easygoing.
Okay.
And I am very relaxed about my dough. Some people are very into it has to only rise for an hour and punch it down and rise again. I make challah. Like I said, I made 20 challahs. That's
oh my God.
That's for this.
Amazing.
Week, I made 20 challahs. That's 4 batches I made this week.
Wow.
In one day. So I have to be relaxed about it. I make 4 batches at once. And I let it rise. I cover it. I let it rise. And when it's convenient for me, I come back, which means maybe it's an hour, maybe it's 2 hours. I'll never let it rise more than 3 or 4 hours. First of all, it's gonna grow, beyond words. I'm actually about to show you. I'll show you my. So you caught me on a day where I actually broke 2 of these. So I only have 4.
Wow.
4 bowls. And it's very simple. I wind them up over there and I and I do all the flour pieces.
The one time.
It's like
Assembly line.
an assembly line. Remember the book Cheaper by the Dozen?
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't have a dozen here, but
What would be the shortest amount of time you would let something rise?
so to be honest, I
Yeah,
really like to let it rise for an hour.
1 hour. Okay.
Yes. If it can't, like, I did a program like this a few days ago.
Right.
It was Monday, this Monday, for actually a group of teenage public school boys and girls. They go to Midwood High School. If you've heard
Oh,
of Midwood High
okay.
School,
Yes.
it's right next door to Brooklyn College. And I actually, for many, many years, ran a program there called the Jewish Student Union. It's a club for everybody is welcome to come. And I actually ran a club there for over 20 years. And then I handed it over to someone else when I started doing more family engagement. We did one we used to say the 3 M's of Brooklyn: Midwood, Madison, and Murrow. So I used to do that. And so when I did it with these teenagers on Monday, I did not let it raw. I just put it in the oven right when I was done. I showed them how to braid it, and then I stuck it in the oven. And to be honest, I think that challah I should have let it rise longer. I shouldn't have been so.
But if you let it rise, say you did it for 4 hours, then that means you have so much dough. Is then good
No,
that you
you
can
have
make
to
a lot
punch
of
it down.
challahs?
No, you have to punch it down. It's going to be the same.
Oh, okay.
It may grow bigger than what it, like now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let it rise. I'm going to make 2 challahs now, and I'll let them rise.
Okay.
And I'll let them rise until they're about the size that I want it. Normally, I would let it rise in the bowl and then braid it. But because
Right.
I want to show you how to braid it,
Oh, I got it.
let it rise after I braid it.
Oh, okay. That's
You got it?
interesting.
Does
Got
that
it.
make sense?
So
So,
I started to add the oil.
okay, great.
Egg is in, and now I'm sort of punching it down a little bit.
Great. Yes. So, I don't know if you guys like everything but the bagel topping. What would be your favorite topping for a challah?
My daughter loves that, the one from Trader Joe's. She always puts it on.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
I
the one
love
I
that
get.
too.
That too.
Delicious.
I also do a crumb topping, like the top of an
Ooh.
apple strudel, or
Yummy.
yeah, that's a really good one. I could tell you what to do to make that if you want. So
Sure.
while Pam is finishing up her dough.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. One of my favorite things is to talk. My children don't love that about me, but I married a very quiet guy so that I could be the one to talk a lot. So I make the strudel topping. The crumb topping is 1 stick of margarine, 1 cup of sugar, and 1 cup of flour. And what I do is I really take the easy way out. Are you ready? I take a food storage bag or a Ziploc bag, like a gallon size, and I take the stick of margarine and I throw it in the bag. I unwrap it and put it in the bag, and then I take a cup of sugar and a cup of flour. It doesn't even have to be exactly a cup. You know how your bubby used to say, a teacup of this and a teacup of that. I guess I'm becoming the bubby. I pour that in. I knot the top, and then from the outside of the bag, I can mush it. My hands don't even have to get dirty. I don't even need a pair of gloves. That's how easy.
So it's a room temperature stick of margarine you use?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You
It
can't
can
use
go
from
anyway.
refrigerator.
I'm actually going to show you. I actually made it just a minute ago. 1 second. I'm
Oh,
taking off the gloves to open up my refrigerator. So for
interesting.
this Shabbos, we're actually having company for like the very first time. We haven't had company in a very long time. We were in quarantine, and you know, I don't even want to go into it. It makes me so sad. But God willing, we are having company. And I made mini apple because we're having company. I don't want them to feel you know, like you want to do single serving. So if you could see, this is a little apple crisp. So like the crumb topping on top of the apple crisp. So that's what I have. I'm gonna bake it tomorrow in honor of the Holy Shabbos day. So that's how it looks. I'll be right back. So I'm back with you. I'm just getting another pair of gloves. Pam, how you doing over there?
Oh, okay. I'm going to turn the camera on.
Okay, you know what? I mean, we can live in mystery.
No. All right.
Okay, there. You look. It looks good.
Nice, Pam.
Okay.
It looks
Hi.
good. Where do you live, Pam?
What?
Where do you live?
I'm in Baldwin Harbor. Next
Baldwin
time
Harbor. I don't even know where that is.
you do.
I do not. It sounds
You
like a
don't.
very pretty place.
Down Oceanside going east.
Ah, wow. Okay, good to know. Okay, well, I guess I'll follow my nose if I want to find it. I'll have to just smell the.
I don't know.
Okay, so I'm getting ready to prepare my dough for braiding. I am going to actually take half the dough. The dough is so soft and so elastic, as you could see. It's just so easy to deal with. I'm actually going to flour it a little bit because I feel like it was not enough flour. I'm going to fix this so that I will be making, could you all see my hands on my countertop? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
So
My dough right now isn't as smooth as yours, but does that mean that it has to rise, right?
it means that maybe you could work it a little bit more with your hands, maybe.
And add more oil.
A drop more oil, yeah.
Okay, all
So
right.
as you can see, I have divided my dough into so far 4 parts. We are now up at 6 parts. Notice how uneven I am. You know, God didn't create us all even, so it's okay if the challah is not even.
Right.
And so I take my six little balls and I make them into ropes. And they're touching at the top, as you could see, right? Everyone see what's going on here on my countertop? Right? It's like kind of like a half, like the horizon, right? Like a half sun if we were to make a circle around it. You see what I have going on here?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, great. So imagine if I went from the left to the right and I counted each piece. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 2, which is a very skinny number 2 over here, is going to go all the way over to the other side. And number 1 is now going to become my new number 3. As you could see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I am going to flip to the other side. Imagine now we're going from the right to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 2 is again, we're doing the same thing each time. We're just flipping from one side to the next. So number 2 is going to go all the way over. And number 1 will become the new number 3. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, number 2 on this side is going to go all the way over, and number 1 is going to become the new number 3. Now we'll flip to the other side. Number 2 is going to go all the way over, and number 1 becomes 3. Now again, number 2 is going to go all the way over, and number 1 becomes new number 3. As you can see, we're starting to see a challah. Number 2, or a braid, goes all the way over, 1 becomes 3. 2 on this side goes all the way over, and 1 becomes number 3. 2 on this side goes all the way over, 1 becomes 3. 2 on this side goes all the way over, and 1 becomes 3. One more time. 2 goes all the way over, 1 becomes number 3. 2 on this side goes all the way over, 1 becomes 3. As you could see, we have completed our pretty little challah.
Beautiful.
So I will be spraying the pan.
That's yours, Pam.
Not as pretty as hers right now. I'm just working the dough to separate it into.
And I'm going to put it into my pan, and I'm going to let it rise. Would you like me to do it again
Sure.
with the rest of the dough?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
My dough doesn't look as pliant as yours.
Well, did you use the high gluten flour?
Did I use the King Arthur?
Oh, the King Arthur. Like I said earlier, I've never used the King Arthur, so I can't judge how it would work.
I know. I think it just needs to be worked more,
Okay,
but
so I'm gonna do another. I'm gonna do another 6 braids so you guys can all get the hang of it. But as you can see, we don't have that much dough here, so I'm gonna make it very.
I wish I could give you a little of mine.
If only, right?
Right.
Give us another 10 years. Maybe we'll be able to figure out how to pass things through the computer.
For Zoom, right.
Boom. God willing, we should be able to be together for the babka bake.
Mm,
Wouldn't that be nice?
sounds delicious.
What do you say, Robert? Was Robert the one that came to the challah bake last time? In January, we did a challah bake.
I'm not sure.
I remember there was a
Robert, are you
gentleman there.
He's on mute.
Yeah. Okay. So here you go. I'm back to 6, as you could see. Everyone ready? I'll actually tell you a cute story. My daughter, my oldest daughter, her name is Chani. Her name is Chani Gittel. She's named after my mother. My mother died very young, and unfortunately, but my daughter has many wonderful character traits of her grandmother, who she's named after. And my daughter was dating her husband, and she mentioned to him on one of the dates that I make a challah out of 6 braid, 6 ropes, a 6 braid challah. And Yechiel, that's her husband, at the time they were dating, and he said, "Really, how do you do that? I would love to learn." So the next date he brought sour sticks. You guys know what sour sticks are? So sour sticks are like these long, sugary, soury candy full of sugar. Not good for your teeth. But my dad would say that because he's a dentist. He brought it on the next date, and they went out to dinner. And after dinner, he said, "Okay, I'm just going to take this out of my pocket because I need you to teach me how to do it." And she actually, on a date, taught him how to braid challah with 6 sour sticks. So I thought that's a very cute little story, right? Yeah.
Very cute.
Yeah, so,
We'll get some candy to practice that.
yeah, right, exactly. Okay, here we go. So number 2 goes all the way over. Maybe Lisa, next time we should say, bring an extra pack of sour sticks if you're not gonna make the challah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Less
So
of
2
the
went
mess.
all the way over and 1 became new number 3. And then 2 went all the way over and 1 became new number 3. And then 2 went all the way over and 1 became the new number 3. And then 2 went all the way over and 1 became the new number 3. 2 goes all the way over and 1 becomes 3. 2 goes all the way over and 1 becomes 3. 2 goes all the way over. I'm just flipping from side to side, the same thing. 1 becomes 3, 2 over, 1, 3, 2 over, 1, 3. That's it. That's the entire thing. You know,
You
people,
make it so easy.
yeah, well, I've had a little bit of practice.
I know.
So, but happy to practice with anyone else who'd like to. So,
The braiding is the hardest part. I had gone to a challah bake at the Sands in Atlantic Beach. There were 1,000 women there.
I was there. I
Oh,
was
you were
there
there?
the past few years. Last year we did an all a teen one. We did a
Oh.
teen challah bake at Atlantic Beach.
I
My
went to
granddaughter had her bat mitzvah in September, and she made her own challah for her bat mitzvah.
Oh, is that beautiful?
Yes,
That's so beautiful. Wow,
she loves to bake.
that's beautiful. What's your granddaughter's name?
Her name
I
is
don't need her last name. I'm curious what her first name is.
Faith. Faith.
Faith. Oh, beautiful. What a
Yeah.
beautiful name, Faith.
She lives in Plainview.
Oh, like I said, Plainview's my stomping ground. I was in Plainview on election day. We went, actually, I was in
Were
Woodbury.
you at the Mid-Island JCC?
I don't work out of the Mid-Island JCC, but I've been there.
Okay.
I was on right? It's on Kennedy Road, I think.
Okay.
I work with the families there. We built 14 sukkahs in that area.
Beautiful.
That's
Yes.
nice.
Yes. So I'd be happy to tell Faith about different programs that go on for Jewish teenagers or 13-year-olds in the area.
Okay.
All you got to do is find my name on Facebook or ask Lisa to connect me. My phone number is available. I'm more than happy to talk to all of you individually. My pleasure.
How do you find the time? What are the ages of your children?
So I actually have 48 hours in one day. I don't know
Yes.
how many hours are in but in my days, we fill it into 48 hours. So the age group is we go from middle school through high school. Actually, my organization that I work for actually does alumni also. So they work with Birthright and etc. But what my focus is families that have middle school through high school. So actually tonight there's a program on Eaton Place. That's the name of one of the streets in someone's house. And I might be wrong. It might not be in Eaton Place. It might be in someone else's house tonight. But so there's a program that's for middle schoolers. They're called EMSA. And then there's a program for high schoolers every Thursday, Monday afternoons in Plainview JFK in the POB JFK High School, and Thursdays in Syosset. I think Wednesdays are in Merrick. I'd be more than happy to send Lisa the information. I personally don't run that program. I work with people that run that program that they're my friends. They're wonderful, wonderful people. And they're cheerful and fun and like to bring Judaism in a very happy, special way. Because you know how teenagers are today. It's hard to give them rules. So we don't do it as a rule thing. We do it as a fun way to live our lives. right? So actually on Tuesday, election day, a lot of the moms that I normally would work with, they had off from work. A lot of them are teachers. So, so we went for a walk. It was actually about an hour and a half long, very, very hilly in Woodbury. I was feeling it for a few days later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, when you feel it in your legs after walking up lots of steep hills. So, okay, so here we have my second challah. I'm going to spray my tin with some Pam, and I'm gonna put it in. Now, my challah needs a very long time to grow. I'm gonna let it grow a little while. My son, my 16-year-old son. Oh, you asked me how old my children are. Someone asked
Yes.
me. My youngest is 13. So she's applying to high schools now. And my oldest is going to be 27. So she's been kicked off of our health insurance for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
I have a son who's graduating college as an actuary in a few weeks. He would say a few months. In January, he's going to be graduating. I have another daughter who's a UX designer. I don't know if you know what that means. UX means user experience. So imagine when you turn on Zoom and you don't know what buttons to press. She's the person that designs these type of things to make it the smoothest for the user. Whether someone is my age or younger or older, she tries to make it the most the easiest for the user. However, she doesn't do computers. She does kitchen appliances. So,
wow.
so that's what she does. And the rest of my kids are in high school. I have 2 children in high school.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I certainly feel very blessed in life. Okay. So you're gonna crack an egg and brush it over the challah. My little secret is that I add about a half a teaspoon of honey to that raw egg before I brush it. So it makes it that much sweeter. And then I sprinkle it either with sesame seeds or with everything spice. My kids don't really like poppy seeds, so I don't use poppy seeds, but I'll do crumb topping like I showed you before on my apple crisp. And that's basically it. For a challah this size, in this size tin, I would bake it for about 40 minutes on 350. Every oven is different, so I wouldn't just turn on the timer and walk out of the house.
If you were going to let the dough rise, then you would typically braid it. You wouldn't let it rise again, or just one time?
So what I do is I never let it rise after I braid it.
Okay.
I punch it down. I let it rise first. I punch it down. If I can't braid it right then, I'll punch it down again an hour later, and then I braid it, and then I egg wash it, and I stick it in the oven.
Okay. And at what point do you put the salt in? I think I missed that.
The salt went in with the sugar in the beginning. Right in the beginning, you put the salt in first after the flour.
Flour and then salt?
Flour, salt, and sugar all together.
Okay.
You mix it up, then you make the well, and you add the remaining sugar and then the yeast.
Okay.
Because, like I said, the one law you can't forget is don't mix the salt and the yeast.
And the yeast.
And the salt, do you use granulated or coarse salt?
I use granulated table salt.
Okay.
So the dough that I just made, I shouldn't have put it in the pan yet. I should have let it punch down and rise.
Well, I braided it because I wanted everyone to get to see it. But if I was home in my early time, I would.
So let it rise for and then punch it down a second time, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Now, again, if you're going to use more than 2.5 pounds of flour, you should take a piece off.
Yes.
Of course.
Now, and burn it. And
Mm.
burn
Right.
it. Now, if you are making 5 pounds of flour, then you not only are you supposed to take it off, but you're supposed to make a blessing.
Right.
And when you make that blessing, you say the blessing, then you pull off the piece. And when you make that blessing, it's actually a very special time to pray. It's a time where God is listening to all of your prayers. Even if you want, the sky to turn purple, he's listening. He may not say yes, but he's listening. So it's actually a very special time. I have a few people that I pray for, that are unfortunately not well, whether it be because of Corona or something else. And actually, my aunt actually just had a heart attack. Unfortunately, she's
Oh,
okay, but I would normally, make the blessing. Then I pray for the Holy Temple to come back, and then I actually I say a prayer for all the people that I know that need praying, a recovery, whether it be physical or emotional. We all need to be healthy, and the prayer that I say actually encompasses the entire humankind, whoever needs a recovery for anything. So if you ever think of me on a Thursday night, you could say to yourself, I know Nechama is praying for me, because that's what I'm thinking of. Yes, Barbara.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll see on Facebook someone says, I'm going to be taking challah soon, send me
Yes.
names.
Yes.
Prayers.
Yes. I personally don't do that when I do that, because then it gets complicated if I missed it and someone wanted it. But it's certainly a nice good deed to do.
Yeah, Lisa, I'm having my granddaughter come on to speak to Nechama.
Oh, that's so nice. Faith is coming
Yeah,
on.
my granddaughter bakes on TikTok. She has her mix master.
I love it.
Hi.
Hi. Is
I
that
joined
Faith?
I joined on my father's phone.
Hi. Could we get to see you or no? All the grandmas want to get to see you.
Sure, I'll turn on my video. For
Only if your mom and dad let.
Hello.
Hi, Faith.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
If I
to
had
meet you.
TikTok, I would look you up, but I don't have TikTok.
It's okay.
You could look me up on Facebook or Instagram if you have that.
Okay, I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
So what do you like to bake?
I like to bake cake and cupcakes and
Yum.
challah. And
Wow.
challah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Your grandmother will share my recipe with you if you'd like to try it.
I would. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm gonna say my phone number so you'll have it. If you want to write it down, you could call me, and I can if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to help you. My phone number is 718-669-3367.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
my biggest problem with my phone is that it dies very often. Other than that, I think I use it too much. So that's all. That's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Well,
Actually, Faith, before you go, if you want to get involved in any Jewish programming with your friends, you'd be invited. I heard you live in Plainview. We'd love to have you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
You're in 8th grade?
Yeah, I'm in 8th grade.
I have a daughter in 8th grade. Her name is Ricky. And you know what she likes to do? She does cookie decorating.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. She unfortunately she couldn't go to sleepaway the camp this past summer. So she went and she got she took a cookie decorating course, and she is something else, let me tell you.
great.
Yeah. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, you have my phone number now. You have my name to find me on Facebook, and I'm around. I'm available.
Thank you very much.
Thank
It was
you.
great.
Very
Thank
interesting.
you.
Nechama, this was
Bye.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so
Bye. I
much.
hope we get
Bye,
to see you.
Grandma.
Bye.